Hello, I'm Nobby Clark. Welcome to my workshop. What I'm making today are some toe clamps to go with my fixture plate. I've already made two of them. I cut 4 pieces of steel to 1 3/4 inches long. This is a 1/2 inch wide by 3/16 of an inch thick. I wanted some smaller ones than the smallest ones that I've got with my hold down sets. And what I'm doing is drilling the series in both of these are 5mm holes. The end two will be tapped 6mm for jacking screws, and these two holes will be milled 6mm between them to give me a slot that I can move along the 6mm studs. I've already set the third one up in the milling vise here, and I'm using a stop so that I can get all the holes in the same position. Underneath the piece of metal here, I've put a sort of a sacrificial piece of aluminium, sort of like this, so that I can literally, it doesn't matter if I drill into it, because these are only 1/2 an inch wide. If I had a couple of parallels in here, I mean, obviously I'm going to end up drilling into the parallels as well, because the parallels are I think are about 1/8 of an inch wide. There's a danger that I might clip them if I left them in place. So what I can use the DRO to give me the various hole positions. I've already used the DRO to find the centre here, and using the half function, and I've touched off on the end here so I can measure into the first hole position, which is 5/8 of an inch in from the edge, which is 0.625. So if I move the zero that out and move the bed along 625, that's it. I'll just sort of double check with this one that I'm in the right position. Looks all right. Actually, I can just measure that along. That should be 5/8 of an inch in. Yep. Let's make sure I've got the anyway, nice and tight, and we'll spot that one in. Let me switch that over for the 5mm drill. Cutting that on. Okay. Okay, that's the first hole. Replace that with the centre drill again. What I've done to make life easy, I've written the various dimensions on here. The top one here is 0.1966. That's half the diameter of the touch-off tool that I've got, or the edge finder. So the first measurement in was 625, and then in from that is another 1 inch 125 thousandths. So there we are, that's the next measurement in. Let's see how that's looking. Okay, ready for the next one. So the gap between these two is a ½ inch 500 thousandths. Final hole is another 375 thousandths along. Let's put the centre drill in again. There we go. And there we are. 5mm drill again. Excellent. So that's that one done. Just one more to do, and then that completes. And I wanted 4 of them in total, so I've done 1, 2, 3. So I won't bore you with the next one. So when I'm ready to set up and mill these 2 holes together, I'll bring you back for that part. I won't bother with the tapping that hole, because I'm sure you've seen a hole tapped before. Anyway, bring you back soon. The job now is to cut the slots in the little toe clamps. I've done a couple of them already. After I drilled the holes in the parts, the top hole is tapped 6mm to take the jack screws, and I've got now one of them mounted in here so that I can, as you see, join these 2 holes together to make the slots to go over the studs to give me the movement onto the part. to admit a mistake I made. I had to make one of these again because I completely messed this part up. The hole here is not centered here. I don't really know how that happened. I wondered whether the center drill I was using went a bit off edge slightly and pulled the drill into the wrong place. But what I'd also done somehow or other is managed to drill this hole in the wrong place as well. So I quickly made another one. It's quite easy just to cut another piece out, bring it to length and put the holes in. I won't waste this though. What I will do is cut a slot in here. It won't matter having an additional one, even if the slot's in a different position to the others. It's not really going to matter at all. I'm sure most of you have cut slots in material before. It is a long, boring, tedious job to do. I know some people drill more holes in the part all the way along, and then I know some people actually drill them the actual size of the slot, but I drilled the two holes of 5mm, and what I do is just machine out the very centre part until I break right through, and then bring the end mill out to each end just to shape each end. And I find that gives you a very nice finish to the slot as well, rather than sort of chain drilling along with the exact size. I find then you get a bit of an uneven finish in here. I mean, I'm only doing it this way because I've watched others do this and the way other people tackle this job, and I've tried both methods, but I find this one, it basically just gives you a slightly nicer result. Anyway, I'll start this off. I won't film the whole thing because it's tedious enough to do, let alone having to watch the whole thing being done. But I'll just do a couple of passes and then sort of bring you back when I get nearer to the end. I'll carry on with this off camera and bring you back nearer to the end when I've finished this one. I'm using some lubricant. I've been using basically kerosene and engine oil. Works, you know, very well for this. A lot less expensive than using cutting fluid for everything, because you'd be using, you know, quite a large amount of this. And I notice a lot of people use this mix for steel. I've got another one here, well, no, not that one. I've got another one here just with kerosene, or you can use that on aluminium. I know a lot of people don't like using kerosene because it's smellier than WD-40. I don't particularly mind. I find it's perfectly okay. It's, you know, kerosene, it's paraffin, and works very well. And you can buy this very, very cheaply for jobs where you need a lot of this, where you're obviously not using a proper sort of flow cutting fluid. Anyway, as I say, I'll bring you back a bit later on. I've broken through the part now, so I can now just bring the end mill along to each end just to make sure I shape the end of the slot. I'm doing what I did when I drilled the holes. I'm using a bit of aluminium below this as a sort of a sacrificial parallel. I don't want to use my actual parallels and damage them. So there we are, that's the third one done. I've got one, well, I've got two more to do because I'm going to do the mistake as well. But by doing it in that method, you do get sort of quite a reasonable finish. Obviously I've got to sort of deburr all round here as well. So just one more to go. Just have to clean up my bit of sacrificial material before I do the next one and clean all around the vise as well. And obviously everyone knows this, when you're using an end mill, just make sure you keep your fingers away from them because they bite. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that bit. Obviously I've got other things still to do to these. I want to shape them like the small finger clamps that I have in, or toe clamps rather, I have in my hold down set to shape these sides and the top in as well, and probably just sort of break the edge on those back corners as well, just to sort of make them look nice and give a slightly smaller area at the front to sort of clamp down on a workpiece as well. But I'll show you some of that setup later on, just to show one of them being the angles being cut on here. Now the next job to do on these little plates is to cut some angles on the end, an angle across here on both sides, and then an angle across here as well, similar to the hold down clamps that I've got with my fixture set. Now what I would normally do is just set this up with an angle setup block. The angles on the side here I'm going to cut to 15 degrees, so what I would normally do is put that in the vise, mount this on the top, and then lock that in place. Problem I've got is that you can see the angle setup block is much wider than the actual part itself. Not a problem, because it just means putting some other packing on the side here to lock this in place. But I've got to cut quite a lot. I've got 5 of these, so that's 10 angles to cut. And I thought, would there be another perhaps easier, simpler way of doing it? And when the ideal thing would be if this vise, for instance, had a means of tilting it this way, so that I could set the whole vise up to a 15-degree angle and then just drop the parts in the top. I have got an angle vise. This thing, which I've used quite a number of times, but the problem is that this tilts in this direction, so it's obviously tilting the wrong way. Okay, fair enough, you could turn it that way round, so that could be set in a 15-degree angle. But the problem of doing that is that there's not very much area to grip parts across that way. And once I've started machining one side off here, there's going to be even less area to grip. And I don't think that's going to work terribly well. So I've come up with another idea. I don't think this is sort of necessarily my idea. I'm pretty sure I've seen something done like this before. Is to use another vise. I mean, I've got this one, which I've used for sort of quite a number of different purposes in the workshop. I've used this quite a lot for fixtures on the lathe. Now, all I'd need to do with this is to mount this. Also, I've added this bar on here onto the base, is to put that into the vise, with the setup, the angle setup block below, and then lock that in position. And I think this is possibly a good solution. Just make sure I've got that in nice and tight, and then all I've got to do is use a parallel which is actually thinner than the part. This is I think that's an 1/8, and this is just fractionally wider. If I drop that in there, then I can mount the parts in there, and literally all I've got to do is just keep swapping those parts over to machine them. So I'm hoping this is going to work okay. I've already marked all the parts out with a line here, which would be the point that I machine this down to. So I'm going to give one of these a try just to see how well it works out, and if it actually works, I'll bring you back and show it actually in use. If it doesn't work, you won't see this at all. Well, that idea seems to have worked okay. I've cut one there on both sides. I had to, something I'd forgotten to do, but this is really before I came up with this idea, is to mark the other side as well, because obviously you're cutting one side. When you turn over, you lose the mark that you've made. So I've made another little witness mark on that side as well. So actually do another one now. Get any swarf out of there, and you can pop that one in and lock that down firmly in place. I can bring the cutter down just to touch off. Okay, that's one side done. Oh, I did do that tight, didn't I? Just deburr the sides. That's it. And mount it the other way around. And the same again. There we are, that's the other side done. Now this is fairly quick as well. It's going to speed the operation up. File that side down as well. Let's see, deburring required all round, but there we are. That's the second one done. So I've got 3 more of these to do. Obviously I'll do all those off camera, and then I can reset this up to cut the angle across here as well. That's going I think that's only going to be about 10 degrees though, so all I've got to do is put a 10-degree angle setup block in and just sort of drop this down a bit to cut that. Perhaps may show you that sequence as well, just one of them obviously, but then once that's done, that's sort of basically about it, just apart from a bit more sort of cleaning up. I'm going to cold blue these as well, just as they're steel, just to sort of protect them against any possible rust as well. But I've shown doing that in the past, so I won't bring you back for that part of it. This is the final stage, basically cutting the 10-degree angle across here. So I removed all of this from the vise, cleaned it all up, and then reset this small vise up onto a 10-degree angle setup block. I've just run one cut across here, but I'll just show you this stage actually working. Well, it's got me down to just about on the line there. Obviously, with this one, you've got to cutting across here. You've got to be rather careful that you don't drop the cutter too much after aligning it with the witness mark across here. If you do, you're going to end up with a sort of a groove and a step here. But having it like this, obviously this can be blended in a bit more with a bit of emery cloth, although it's quite a nice smooth surface, and I'd quite like to see these machining lines anyway. I thought I'd just share that final part with you. I've got to go through all the other ones and cut all those in exactly the same way, but I'm rather pleased that this setup worked. Obviously it's something I can use in the future, because I'm not using this vise for the original purpose I bought it for, so it's spare to me now, so this will be a useful thing for the milling machine. Well, that's the job basically finished now, and I've sort of set it up in sort of one possible way that it could be used. As I've shown in an earlier video, making the fixture plate itself, drilling some and tapping some holes, and drilling some holes to take these little 5mm dowels as well, so I've got a hard stock to bring work up against, and I've got sort of plenty of these. I think I ordered a pack of 10 of these. Then the final job, obviously making some small toe clamps, and obviously they're just fractionally longer than the smallest ones I've got with my hold down set, but obviously a lot narrower and thinner, and really sort of much more in proportion to the fixture plate itself. So I can use the studs from this set, and then just use some little jacking screws at the back. I'm obviously going to be careful to put a piece of brass or copper underneath each end, so I don't score the surface of this too much. Whether I keep this design, I don't know. It may be some other way of getting around it. I was going to look to see if you can buy 6mm brass screws. That might be possible, or failing that, perhaps making some little boots to go on the bottoms of these out of brass, and keep them with the set, so I can then use them with that all the time. Well, so I hope you enjoyed all this. There was a little bit more machining from me this time, rather than just a lot of talking. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing this. Well, thank you for joining me on this little project. I think apart from drilling the holes, it's been great fun making this, making all the little toe clamps as well, and sort of testing the thing out, and I think it's going to be a very useful tool to use in the future. So anyway, thanks for joining me again. It's luckily been a little bit warmer in the workshop over the last few days, and not too bad today at all. I think it's sort of around about 12 degrees, so I've been able to spend a bit more time in the workshop completing this. Obviously I've still one operation to do when I get round to it, is cold bluing these, but I'll probably wait for a while until I've got a few things to do, to have a session at doing this. Anyway, again, thank you to all the subscribers to the channel, and all the nice comments I've been receiving. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel so far, kindly do. Anyway, hopefully I'll have another video for you very, very soon. If I can get out into the workshop more, then I can get a lot more projects sorted out. Anyway, thank you very much. Bye bye for now.